Good night to everyone here. Well, my name is Julio Yurivilca. Today I'm going to be your host in this meeting. We will talk about geopolitical markets and the Generation C. Uh, First of all, I want to introduce a little bit of AIP. We are basically a community that empowers, and we are looking to empowers people's skills and make Latinos and communities in Latin America more close to the global market. And tonight, I would like to introduce Jürgen Paulus, a global leader in sustainable technology and digital transformation. Jürgen, with over 30 years of experience across 35 countries, has driven initiatives in zero carbon innovation and AI-focused strategies. As a chair of LabX Holding and country head at GAUFEN Advisory, he is at the forefront of merging technology with sustainability. Today, he will share insights on how Gen Z is shaping the future through gaming, social media, and climate activism. So thank you, Jürgen, to be here. The panel is all yours.
Thank you for your introductions. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. I'm really very excited to have this very special session within the AMP Business School. I've been since the beginning together building this fantastic project, and specifically because it's as well Generation Z. This is our generation, our students. We support. They're exactly in this moment right now, facing the world of digital cars, of competition between big powers like United States, China, Japan, European Union. And it's so important for us, besides the traditional lecturing we do in digital marketing, in building entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, or project management and leadership, where I'm as well part of the team. Beside that, it's so important to give this generation a hold and an understanding to what extent they're really well prepared because of the circumstances they have been growing up, and of the circumstances of Latin America as well, where we have been all these dynamics across all governments, whatever state you take in Latin America. I've been more than 3 decades around as well in Latin America, beside China and
This
even
meeting
US.
is being recorded.
I'm a global manager and a citizen, but it's very, very important for our school to give sometimes a lecture, open the space, and let them really thinking and dreaming that the world is theirs and they can reach everywhere they want to be. And that is a little bit the overall message. And specifically, for sure, we have this topic about geopolitical markets. It could be buzzword. We talk about global markets. We had geopolitical markets 1,000 years ago already, when you had the big Chinese or this older cultures, and they had really to compete against resources. But nowadays we have a new momentum where the competition gets overruled by governments because they have to safeguard the resources of those countries, and with those resources as well influencing heavily competition. So what we do now, I have the presentation here, it's open. I will share with you a little bit how we can do it best, because it's a huge topic. And like you see here, this GDP image, and already the generations running, they have so many influences. They're coming from COVID. They're discussing Latin America. They're discussing United States, and they're getting equipped with very pragmatic tasks and references and tools. And we will talk today specifically first, what is really the new status quo in the competition? What is geopolitical management? What is global management? How to differentiate that? And then later on, step by step, we will coming closer to the gaming and TikTok and climate change projects, what is normally related to the generation set. So what is the agenda here? Very simple. We start here, first of all, to get really a little bit close together and understand why we are here in this master session, why we do it, and why it's different. And I have to click a little bit on my computer; it's a little bit polluted. Let me take off everything, and then. So, yeah, why this matters for you, and what are the goals? And then we start with the geopolitics and the geopolitical and global markets, that we understand really what are the differences and how we can identify them. And then we have to understand a little bit who we are, who you are. This new generation, not new generation, but the generation set. This is the beginning of digital brains, limbic system, partly, but as well neocortex, definitely trained by the applications when they're growing up. And these are our students. And then we go to classify what are the digital markets within this new global competition. And then we touch games, TikTok, and climate change solutions as a first proxy from our understanding how they can help us, the generation set, really to make the difference, to lead those new geopolitical markets. And I will start as well now in the beginning with a grid, how we can assess ourselves for this 1.5 hours. I come soon to this topic. It's within the first topic, why it matters. Yeah, why it matters, because sometimes if you ask the generation set today, did you hear about geopolitics and what is the difference now? It's a global market, or why are the markets different? They're not familiar often with this topic. If you are familiar with that topic, please put it in the chat and say, yeah, I'm familiar. If you say, no, I'm not familiar, then it's very important for me to know. It's a semantic thing, but behind that is really a huge transformation going on. We put this lecture in the master series. Why? Because it's simply some trend lecture. It's not like we have the other platforms at AMP where we be more operational. This is really a strategy session, what is normally as well used for coaching and mentoring our students, that they can come back always back to us, to our coaches and mentees, and ask them, okay, what to do? What can I do with this information? Because I'm very interested in going strategy or for my own life cycle, my career cycle planning. So this is the second point that we really want to push as well, our platform, Aprende para Prospera, so Learn to Thrive as a global learning platform. And this presentation here is specifically on this possibility that we have some eye openers, and we will do some exercises together that automatically we will see to what extent the students are really intrigued to think about that, or they say, Jürgen, that is not so relevant. I would like to see another aspect, and that's why we have as well 2 sessions. Session 1 is really a session for the assessment and the awareness, self-assessment, that every student understands where he stays and what he wants really to focus, but at the same time he gets the first instruments and keys and tools to deal with the assessment of markets. So we do that with this TikTok and gaming climate solution activities. And then later on, definitely we have to say, what is really the thing? They really come back to us and say, I want to build something. I want to build something. I did the project management course, I did digital marketing, but I understood now with the geopolitical complexity, that's exactly for me the right thing, because I studied maybe in the beginning politics or whatever. I'm very interested to go in the forefront and maybe can be connected with Chinese players or Japanese players or whoever he needs to exchange. That is actually the platform AMP. It's a strategic approach today, and I hope from all you now with us in this discussion that if you have an issue or you're interested, let me know that, and we work on that together. We will later on try to have a lab, a small lab on the geopolitical lab within ANP. So there will always be a door open for you and to go behind your support your dreams really and your next step. Like I mentioned, we have this session 1, the geopolitical markets and your generation set self-consciousness, if you want, like this, what you know about yourself, where you think you stay compared with the boomers, with the X, Y, with the new alphas, the very smart ones, the first one really native digital generations. This positioning is important. So today we are really doing this for our core group at AMP, the generation set. So on the left side, the session 1, that's today, it's really getting an awareness and understanding how the new markets are impacting this geopolitical markets. And the session 2 will be the really more down-to-earth approach, where we go very concrete in cases based on gaming markets and how the applications in the new game markets, the drone business, and all this virtual gaming platforms, they will influence the global market, and they will be our strategic weapon, because we know very well to work with those markets, and that will be the leverage as well for the entire discussion. And that's why in the middle is this red box. Why? Because I want to have we will send you after that first session some basic questions about topic we are going through today, but at the same time as well, what are your interests, and do a little bit of profiling from you that we can really customize the session 2. Session 2 will be a work session, and it could be even 2 hours, because everyone who takes part of this session, he will get something out. He can put it in the chat. He will hopefully respond to the questionnaire, and then we have really good base to prepare yourself. This is simply shows why we are global. This is what we did when we are doing the convocatoria, really to select our markets. What are the students they want to work with us for project management, digital marketing, all what we offer. And then we had really response, and we had to assess the curriculums from 19 different countries, and even from India. And so you see, it's very, very interesting how global we are. We are migrating now in the American space. We're migrating already partially in the European space, and so on. And that is key for us. Exactly the second point is very important for us, that we continue to be strong on the scholarships and supporting students. They really don't have the money really to join us. That's very important. It's part of our main mission, that we are inclusive business school. And the other one is really that they get graduated and that they get a job later on. That's the most important thing. So this is what we did this year, the last cohort as a result. If I would assess myself or yourself, and as well you, there are some basic goal structures I would see for a presentation like that. The first thing, what are the basics about geopolitical dynamics, markets, that when you go to a party and you see your professor or a businessman, he said, oh my God, I have an issue here. I don't know how we'll do my negotiations, because there's really a partly conflict still in India, Pakistan, and I have a really beautiful project. I would like to sell it there. They need this from the low carbon transformation. I'm working in this ecological area. And then when he does a little bit with us, this geopolitical dynamic, then he would see how he can maybe approach that case. And that's a basic, what you have to get out of this presentation, that you have a good understanding what is geopolitical and what is global competition, and why it's geopolitical and why it won't disappear. The second one is go with the flow. Yeah, for sure. This is a little bit the general understanding, how you understand the transformation overall we have from the crisis and the activities we need to manage on each company on the ESG side. This is something where you can, when we see you after the presentation, how you will relate a little bit this global dynamic, ecological dynamic, and what happens in the world with this differentiation, geopolitical and global. The third point, make it relevant. Yeah, this is a little bit the most important point. It's not a little bit; it's the main point that you mainly after the second session where we go really down to earth and apply business cases almost for certain issues, where you check, can I apply this already for my game company, or for my startup, and or for the blog, as a blog series of blogs I do with Google Ads and all this stuff. There's so many activities on your side where you could ask, okay, I would like to test to what extent I could reach countries globally. They are suffering maybe from the geopolitical situation, or they need more information maybe on Latin America. What is the geopolitical situation in Latin America? We will touch this point when we talk who invests today in Latin America and what are the assets and where they're invested, in which classes, and how are the financial, digital financial markets, and how it's split up. If you go through the Latin American countries, that's a good exercise, but we do this in session 2. Spot the difference. Yeah, this is very interesting as well. To what extent your generation is differentiated to the boomers or to the generation alpha, and how you really see this differentiation, how conscious you are on this point. This is very important too, because there are a lot of discussions always, what is what and why they're better and they're equipped, but you have to be sure that you read your own life career agenda. We have an average age maybe from 25, 26 of our students. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes higher. And it's very interesting how you manage yourself on your capacity, where you think, I'm really much faster in certain applications. I'm in my Python programming or whatever. So this is very good. Maybe it serves you, or you say, it doesn't matter for me. It's a statistic thing, what they publish, and that is perfect with me too. But there is a clear positioning, how you feel yourself, that you have something special, because you will assume in 20 years leadership, you do now a job, maybe you're capable to migrate to the United States, yes or not. Why you did it? Because you had you built a company, you were programming already with 7 or 8 years or 9 years. So this positioning, that you see yourself as someone who wants to live his own career with your ideas, but he has to be successful getting out of Latin America or within Latin America, or taking even, if I think the nice application for the traffic of bikes in Peru, that was a project that started in Lima, I think 15 years ago, very advanced. So those things, they're awesome to develop them in Lima or wherever, and then migrate and get partners even on a geopolitical base. Is even easier sometimes today. Own the future. Yeah, this is where I want to know to what extent you will be interested to build you build platforms, to work with platforms. You're working with platforms. You're a programmer, or you're on the side, on the marketing side, and so on. This will be very interesting, and as well how conscious you are, how interested you are to really put different products, self-sufficient products, really to get really zero carbon impact. That is very important as well, because one saying is, or qualification of generation set is really this: students are really conscious. They do it or they don't do it, and they have their values. But that's a lot of what people talk. At the end of the day, it's everyone has to live this. The only future will be something I would like to know when we discuss at the end of the lecture, what you see, what you get out of this lecture for that point. Yeah, and to find your place, that's a little bit your career planning. If something's there are some crossing points here, but what you would like to do, maybe triggered on this presentation. That could be something interesting. Yeah, now we start already in the middle of the discussion. We know everyone talks about that. The last 5 have been talking about this competitiveness of companies, how it works. On the left side, we see a little bit the basics, what we have every day. We see the AIs are coming and GDP 4.0, and you can do your software company, you can produce that, the new technology underway where you can build your company in five days, whatever. So technology, it's moving. The production facilities get moved. They're moving downstream, upstream. On the mining side, they're moving from the markets. At a very strong point we see today, and the rapid changes. So that's nothing new. What is very new is that we see beside this changes, heavy changes on the geopolitical side. Because if you see only the left side, you would say, okay, this is that is normal. That's global competition. That's nothing spectacular. But on the right side, we see why it's different, because suddenly we have competition between countries, and this competition between countries has massive impact on the companies and on your profile as well. Being an entrepreneur or you're working with a company. So this is the point, that it's not just about making profit anymore. It's about who controls the critical resources across the entire life cycle, from the mining, from the basic materials to the preparation, to the tooling, to doing the manufacturing, to do platforms, going the asset market, have maybe products from in the automotive space or products in the plastic industry or other industries. But you come from the beginning of the life cycle, from the resources. Then you have technologies, and then you have global data networks you need. And the point here is that who gets now in this game are the government is going in this game, because critical resources are conditions for the competitiveness of a country. We see this massive investments in Latin America and the EV battery market. And we see sometimes that there is no additional engineering coming. There's actually, you build completely knocked down. You have all the pieces you get on the materials and the basic materials and the braking system and so on. Then you put it together, but there is no value added. But at the same time, there is a question, okay, how Latin America is doing a good deal, that they're really leveraging their mining capacities. That's an old topic the last 100 or actually 300, 400 years. But it's really crucial today how the government manages that, and what is the position of the companies to do some innovations in this area, even if the resources are not available anymore here, or they are available, but there is a discussion within the politician dynamics and the law dynamics, who has really the loyalties, what is the deal. But this is the battle affects today the day-to-day business of global companies. They want to invest in Latin America, and they have technology. It could be water technology, cleaning technology, it could be energy, could be solar. We have in all this in the clean energy area. A lot of those companies are coming and building their bases, but the new battlefield is really that they are looking to what extent they have access to the critical resources. So we have, if you sum it up, really basically in the global competition, you have companies that really they compete worldwide. They have their ESG standard, they have their SDG standard, they have their AI standard, they have their new virtual data lake systems on the ERP side. Everything in place. I want to drive profit, but that is not sufficient anymore for those companies. They have to have a geopolitical competence, because there is always now, like we mentioned the chart before, a resource component, a technology component, assessing to what extent our country needs more access and more quality, and investing in the universities and tech labs, that they have much more saying in the life cycle, and as well taking care of their crucial mining or material resources in Latin America. So the geopolitical competition, countries compete for control over resources. They want to control it. They want to have the pricing in their hand. They want not to leave it open for companies or countries to get actually they're coming to Latin America, or it's the same in US. They want to go to US. US is very, very serious right now, not jeopardizing their own geopolitical competence on resources, on lithium and nickel and all niobium and all these mining materials they need for all technology goods, and to be in the forefront for the data center technologies and close to chip production. So this is a life cycle, and so the countries, the government has an eye on that. And at the same time, you have the global players, and at the same time, you have other countries to look into that. So we have today, if you see offerings like in Bolivia, where we had a normal round of qualification of investors from Europe and from China and so on, and what was key there, that the companies, they have been teaming up with their countries and proving to what extent they're doing water solutions of any project they do. They have a footprint for the indigenous population of every project they do. They have a long life cycle impact assessment. So those things are really crucial today. You cannot compete only on your company. And if you're a small startup, even so, a small startup can be very smart in knowing what are the players and what are their offerings, and offering a geopolitical tool, a fitness project for his company to say, I know what they want, and I'm open for that. We have a automatic self-assessment on our geopolitical competence. So this would be an impact straight on the right side. A very basic comparison, or to capture a little bit what are the differences between global and geopolitical competition. You see the primary focus, we know that global market expansion, revenue growth, brand visibility, profit maximization, operational efficiency, that's basic. Very basic example, McDonald's will expand in Indonesia or in Vietnam, and what they have to do, they have to prove that the brand is good, that the quality is good, and that the franchise system is perfect when they install it, and they get the royalties, and the government is looking how they're worrying it out, and really have jobs for people, and they have quality, and the prices are okay, and they're in small locations outside. That's fine. That's global competition. They compete against in the market with similar companies in the food business, fast food. We had that always. Now it's more important what happens in this in this market from the geopolitical side. What are the drivers? What companies or countries are doing in a bigger scope, activities on the mobility side, on the energy side, that you have to know that, because those drivers, they can be really crucial for you if you have no backup on your own government, and then you will have difficulties really to plug it in the geopolitical project. So if you talk about China, I've been working in China more than 15 years, and the first project did 20 years ago was in the telecommunication industry with Chinese companies. So 20 years ago, China was still growing. They were starting the technology. They were put their first foot in the Latin American market and in other markets. And now, but from those days on, they had already the 2025 plans, 2020, the 5 years plans, and everything was really detailed. And they had a lot of alliances as well. And so they had this strategy plan. And one of those plans is the Belt and Road Initiative, where they really said, okay, we remember our past. We put the road initiative, the Belt, in place, and try to connect with countries and with companies along those trade infrastructure. That is something what is rolling out. So if whatever you do in those companies and countries on the road initiative, you have to know exactly what's happening and what are the conditions to compete over resources, technology, influence, what is the standard. You have to study that. You cannot go to traditional, like we see on the left side, on a go-to-market approach and only on your ecosystem, on the supply chain. You have to see the political component. I want to give you a different insight now on geopolitics, because we know that geopolitics are really thousands of years. We had geopolitics with very strong states and cultures and their governments. They were always concerned water and taxes and so on. And we see it here when we have those examples, the energy dependency on Russia from the European Union, for sure. That it was always a topic, and that they bought Russian gas, and there was a dependency. They never would do anything like that with different materials or gases or oil, because they learned you can't have dependency in a geopolitical in a geopolitical market. You can't do that, because then you're in a monopole dependency, and then the prices you can manage. So you have to know what you do in the European Union, what is a mix, and we see it as well overall. Who goes for the nuclear capacity, nuclear energy has now advantage. There was a party that said no, we have to go on the solar and the water part. That is all part of the package of geopolitics, and Russia is or has been always a leader in those resources, and the Ukraine crisis and other conflicts there around as well. Those excesses of resources and material mining. The Brexit decision was a geopolitical decision, simply. UK thought when they are leaving, they have more space to negotiate, not too much over-regulation. They're much closer to negotiate with conditions when they export. But they saw now that it's very complicated. But it was a clear geopolitical decision. We are, as a national, very proud, very high-tech country, and with our companies, very global companies we have, we can do it on our own. And then they realized that the geopolitical impact of UK compared to European Union maybe, or United States, it's a small one. So you have not the power, the leverage to negotiate. The scale is too low, and you have not the technology on scale. If you see even in the passenger car market, the same. So these are decisions, geopolitical decisions. They can be wrong, but if you are working in UK today, you would always manage, and we know that in UK that is often applied, that you work very strong with the Middle East, where we have actually the second point, regional power in the Middle East. So Iran, also regional powers, they have been always very active in global trade, importing big cars and so on. That was a fact, and there is a geopolitical tension, because they have a religious part, and they have as well a geopolitical business part, and that was a clear geopolitical. There's a geopolitical power, like we have it in Turkey, and the point later on, that they are really crucial between the Europe and Asia connection, and sometimes in Europe they don't understand why the Turkish government is so was different with a double hat and decision, because they're really in a double situation and connecting the continents here, Asia and Europe, and that's why the assessments, the values are different. And the energy routes, Turkey aims to become a secondary energy hub for gas. So they sometimes they want to join the European Union, or then they can't because they have this double hat. This, when we think about that, it sounds very, this is strategic, but it's very concrete. If you do not have today geopolitical competence, you can't negotiate. You can't if you're in the sales function as a regional sales head, you have to understand who does that, and what is political, what are the tracks, and how I can justify what other ecosystem I have to build on this geopolitical actions they do. So it's a very new setting. You have your companies thinking, at the same time you have a governance system, And the governance system has to migrate in a geopolitical governance, geopolitical strategy approach. That's you have to build. And for sure, you cannot build a geopolitical confidence system in different cultures, maybe in Pakistan or Indonesia, where we have a massive growth, if you do not have any trustworthy connection with those people, politicians, institutes, universities, then it's difficult. Then you have to build that. But that will be the rule for everyone who works in the marketing, that he has this, the next step, next intelligence, geopolitical intelligence. So this is a shift we see. And it's a very straight thing. It's like survival and control. You have to be in the seat for the crucial materials. If you are in the innovation part, you have to assess. I did recently a lot of innovations in the medical device area, in the nanotechnology area. And to be in this market with high tech, you need to connect actually with the entire Asian fractions like Japan and South Korea. And at the same time, you have to know as well what is China doing, what is India doing. This is very crucial. If I would be in Peru or in Latin American markets, they do it from the commodity side. We know that we have very strong commodity capacities in Chile, for example. Awesome. They're very ahead. They have very international standards on that. But at the same time, they might now to upgrade as well their geopolitical competence on top what they're already doing. But they're a good reference how they do that. Overall, for our students now, when they are studying digital marketing, it will be immediately interesting to see, okay, in my market, what are geopolitical drivers, what are geopolitical powers? They're interested in the share and how they define the share for them as a crucial material or after material, service material, recycling material. The material can be recycled, can be service, a crucial service for identifying the capacity of a anode or cathode of a battery. That's a very beautiful. There's a software market, it's a huge software market, and we know have been working in this area as well, that the mining companies, they have the sensors of new to really assess the quality by really carving this material out. They have already the artificial intelligence from the recycling, what comes later on, because they want to have the power on the material. So even if you think, yeah, this is geopolitical government, I'm very small, when a sales guy, I can go to the sales event, Latin America, wherever in Mexico, and you see where it's there and you talk to them. And they will say, we have the new conditions now. How are you happy with that? Otherwise, I can't do business with you. What are your references? Can I trust you? Do you have references? Very concrete things, And this is to close a little bit this first approach here. These are the high-tech industries we see, and they are really high-tech, like the chip production we see it with Taiwan and so on, and even the 5G network discussions, and even the backbone of the data services of TikTok and the backup services and so on. You have to have high-tech on that behind, whatever you do. So those markets here, they are now very, very close. They're all geopolitical markets now. So you really need to understand the dynamics in those and position your company in networks to have a long-term strategy planning on that. I would like to know, we are now close. We've finished this first part from you. Spontaneously, what goes in your around in your head? What you think about this discussion, where you see that is something relevant you see, or it's not relevant, or you worked already with that, it's for you obvious. I would like to have maybe one or two voices, maybe, or in the chat, where you say, yeah, I understand this. I cannot work with that so far, or would like to know something. That would be interesting to have a feedback on this, because it was a long session and I need some feedback now a little bit. Whatever comes in your mind, if you could put it in the chat, that would be very good. Do we have someone who is open for the chat? I have some ideas. Julio, is someone open in the chat, or is this quite a quiet?
Well, I have here a question.
Yeah.
So it's a question of Adriana. She's asking about if geopolitical scope includes the use of technology to answer global challenges and improve safety.
I didn't understand exactly. So because of it would be interesting. Are you on the sales side or the market side? You want to explore market growth? Maybe you could give me additional information. It's a very interesting, intriguing question. Please don't give up. Send me some ideas what you want to know. It's not exactly clear. It's about. Did you send me this chat or?
Yeah, the chat is in the Zoom, and
so we will find this.
I don't know if can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
What she's asking is if the on the global context, the technology plays a role on security.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That we know this from the 5G and telecommunication market. In all markets, there is this issue of openness and sharing those informations because they're crucial for the security of the country. That's true. That there has to be some validation. That's why if you think about your products and your company, you have to have some cascades, some circles. And the first thing is definitely how you safeguard the information and what technology you're applying, what technology you're using. We have it in the United States. So if you're working with Huawei technology, maybe then it's not so easy to negotiate with the United States because they're banning those technologies because they thought the 5G network really has openness and data would flow out of the country and really security sensitive data of the government and so on. That's the position. That's true. The other side is what I always do when you have a new project in cross country where you have different countries involved, that I try to connect with the associations and with the partners. They're really present as well in trade events to exchange what is for my class of products the minimum fit to get the first level passed to qualify as a supplier. That's if you can prove in the case of United States that you have no Chinese chips or whatever and technology. Mexico is trying to do now a special approach that they want to produce batteries and so on, but it's still a new situation. It depends on the market, the data, your data security, and the layers you have to prove that. Yes, that's a basic competency. You're true. That's true. That's true. That has to be qualified, and you need partners always with whom you work today in your value chain, in your network, in the concrete value chain where you have exchange of products, that you know how they went. They're working in the same market. They could sell their product, how they did it. Because at the end of the day, you're not selling on your own. You're selling in an ecosystem. So if you have someone from the mining side or in the primary material on your pipe on the life cycle, and then you ask them how you do it, what are the legal efforts you did, what are the office you worked with them. You had a Chinese office, oh, it's perfect how they did it. So you have to do your homework on the life cycle, and then you get as well information innovation, because sometimes the technology is supporting is the main product, and then you have to do really this the system analysis, all the back end, front end assessments, the data lake analysis, that you can prove your APIs are really proven. So you have to go really in depth on the system side if there is an issue. Yes, but it's think about what we see now in the EV car, in the battery market. We see as well that you need to have reference cases with other partners in your supply chain, and as well clients. They can really make a proposal together with you and prove that you have been working 5 years with the same IT system, and you did a lot of tests and the protocols, and then you have to work from that side on the, because what counts is how many years you have been. If you're new in a market, then the process takes a little bit longer, definitely. What I always do when I have new projects, I identify the entire ecosystem with whom I have been working in the past, and is this a friend or an ecosystem partner of this geopolitical company or country? This is so crucial. If you don't have that, then you can't build trust in these markets today when they ask you about technology. But it's possible if you're really carefully working on trustworthy relationships. They have been dealing and doing business over years, decades with certain states, then you can do it. It's always a deal. What credibility you have, and your management team. There's someone who retired from your management team and he did several projects in China. He's well connected. Then you can do a special deal. That it's in the United States the same. There's always something. Once you have references where they're proven that someone who did a lot of deals and with technology. But there are some basic things, for sure. If you come with 5G and with Huawei technology in the United States, we don't want that. And China said we don't want certain technologies now from Amazon, or when they use it or even from Elon Musk, then they say he has to change that. We have new standards now for certain technologies in the anode system, on the battery, so he has to change. Otherwise, he can't produce anymore. That's very, very tough.
Jürgen, I think Adriana have another question. I don't know if Adriana want to talk or I just read the.
No,
the
you
question.
can always jump in. It's perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hello, Jürgen. I hope that is very well. What skill do you consider necessary to work in this field?
A skill?
Yes. What skill do you consider?
I'll be honest, the first thing you should study the culture of the company and the history of the country. That's what you have to study. You have to understand what happened the last 20 years in the United States and why they are so picky now and why they're suffering. They're in a trauma. And if you can make deals with all of them, but you have to understand where they're coming from and study geopolitical connections. You can start with WTO, World Trade Organization, and see what deals they are not supporting anymore, what they're doing. You have to understand this macroeconomical political environment. You have to study that you can do it from the economical side, macroeconomics, or you do it from foreign policy side and understand who is doing this, who is the master plan, where are the master plan now, because all of those, and it's very interesting, if you check in the internet, you find publication about their strategy 2025, 2030, everything is there. You have to put the puzzles. That's one thing, content. The other thing is you need to build your network. If you know someone in your friend, with your friends, in your family or friends of your friends, they have been working in that market, meet them, build your network. You need to build your network, because in Asia, you have no face if you have no network. You have no face. You can speak perfectly Chinese if you don't have a face, because the face you get if you respect the face of Chinese. If you don't respect the Chinese face, you never will make a deal. You can study what you want. That's the reality. This is really very, very sensitive. because everyone now of those states, they have mining or they have materials, Canada, Australia. They have to understand, looking forward the next 10, 15 years, where are the resources you need for your product? They're really in this rare earth material and so on. So you study even geographics, you know, what I have there. And you can do it by yourself. But macroeconomics today, it's very new. It's a mixture between politics, foreign politics, and engineering on the material side. But you can do it. You don't need to be scared now. The important point is you work on this cultural transformation of a country where they want to be in life science, where they want to be in life science. They want to be the lead, yes, but they need as well some clients. They need some reference cases, how they went out of COVID. So you need to be with your openness at a very profound level where you really try to understand what is their cultural transformation. What is the cultural transformation of the United States? They want to be really big again, whatever. They need this. So you have to understand what makes them proud and what they want to show. They want to show big products and a lot of scale and scale it up. But who is doing this? What are the karetsus, the ecosystems of the trade organizations and so on? The market is full of people. They want to know, do not to know. But once you have a clue, you say, I like what I know what they know, what they need. I know that they want to qualify me now. But my target is I get a deal there, 20 million in 5 years. I go with my project there, but because I will map all these relationships I have in this continent for my partners I have in my value chain, and then you build the case, and then you get there. Because at the end of the day, there's always an exception. Once you have a trustworthy case and you have references you did maybe 10, 15 years ago, or someone of your references did it, and then you build this. And maybe you take 2 years, but then you can get a foothold. It's very important today. If you do not have reference in the United States, if you do not have references in Japan, in South Korea, no way. They don't know who you are. You have a product, so what? We don't need that. It's dangerous. So I know that very well because I started with Korea 20 years ago, South Korea, and it was when I was doing my business. It was still a military country. So the interviews when I did project, you get in 5 rooms, one to another, and at the end of the day, you don't know who is coming. Then you wait 2 hours more. It was completely different system. South Korea today is a fantastic democratic high-tech country, and they as well very sensitive. So if you want to be good in this market, you need to select some markets you would love to know the culture, the transformation, understanding the people, talking the language a little bit. Then you get immediately, you build your network from locals, and then the show starts. Then you will see, oh my God, I did always the same error, but it was wrong. So it's something you study the hardcore on the trade connections, the contracts they do. Normally, it's very interesting if you have create big bidding issues for manufacturing assets. You ship some tooling assets to Vietnam or whatever, and then you have to focus on this capacity, what they're doing now, what are the trade-in they have, what are the tools they have, from whom they import today, what the materials they get, from whom. And then immediately you see, wow, they have a lot of suppliers today. They're still coming from the old geopolitical paradigm. So then you can work the story from that point. But you need your time and you need your commitment. Would you love to be a burning desire to work with that country in building a certain product as number one product with your suppliers, with the marketing and everything? Then you get there. It takes you into certain circumstances we have maybe 2 years, but you get there. And you get as well invited and then you go some trade events or sales events or engineering colloquiums and so on, and then you go there, and then they see, wow, we met, and then you build your case. And that case, and that's interesting, very interesting. Once you do that work, you can apply it and leverage it to all other markets and countries, because you will know certain people, they trust you, and they will give a word. They will help you.
For that, I just hear this word, the trust. I think it's something really important that you have mentioned several times in the session, and I think a part of culture, the sense of trust is something really important in order to build these geopolitical borders, and I think it's a really, we need to take more careful about what trust means in different cultures. And so Yuri, and I just wanna say that there is another question here, and Joaquin Diaz, he asked, what has to happen in Latam to be on par with other regions like Asia? How to counteract the effect of the Red Queen race for Latam?
Yeah, as we all know, Asia is a main investor in Latin America. They built across Bolivia, Peru, partly is still running, but Brazil, Mexico, they want to build really their operations there. If you see what happened now from the historical transformation of the automotive industry, we had a lot of US companies, and they simply left, and there were old manufacturing assets there, and fabric and everything, and that is, if you look to Latin America, you need to understand what are the current top level, from the top level, shipping, what's happening with the meetings, and what is the trade deals they're in the round, and then to see always where you are in your business. What is your distance to this trade contract they do for certain product, and where you are in your industry, and then you go that way, because trust is always built between people, and they have to talk. They talk, then I trust this officer, or this somewhere in the technician area, the engineering area. So the trust you need to build on your relationships, and those people you have to meet. And you need locals, you need to meet Chinese people, you need to understand them, you need to listen how they listen and how they don't want to talk, and that is crucial. It's very crucial. Yeah, that I think it's very interesting when we talk this. It looks like we're in the old world back, where you had this powers, and they decided to do war because on resources. Because this, and when I prepared this presentation today, for me it's so important, for the students and for me, for everyone, what is a mindset today that brings you to a geopolitical conscious or competent manager, student, whatever, human being? It starts with the culture and the understanding. Put yourself in the shoes of those industries. Go to Vietnam, go to Pakistan or Indonesia, they're booming, and try to understand where they're coming from and what are the security areas where they need help. There's always something they need help of specialists. If you're an engineer, they need specialists. If you're someone who is strong on the recycling side and did something in the end of pipe, really getting batteries back, or even the third and the rare and the spare parts business from the car industry, spare parts in the agro business industry, whatever. You take the life cycle, and then you see where I'm in this full life cycle, from the upstream to the downstream, and then you have to really see this, where the mining starts, where the pre-material, what are the toolings they use, until the recycling, and it comes back. You have to study all these companies and see where they are, what are the dynamics. And there's always a case, they look for a specialist. You sold this, you know what, we need your capacity in India right now because we have no one who could sell to the UK people, although we have a lot of Indian people in UK, but we have no one there who did exactly that product. And this product is namely produced maybe in the past in Italy. So you have to get this understanding from the life cycle, the value chain. So the value chain in the geopolitical world is a full one. It's a full scale from the beginning of the ideation of the desire to have an innovation or an invention on a chemical formula to the end of pipe where the material comes back twice in the loops and later on it ends up in a new fraction of a new product developed on the second life cycle or whatever. So that you have to have. That's the consequence of geopolitical markets. There's no way. Because there comes always a claim from China, wait a moment, you don't know what happens when this battery comes back or you will change it with a swap in a new battery in China. Is this compatible? Yeah, but I don't have the technology and they have to study what the technology is available to do battery swap. We have to know it. You cannot, but that's not my business. I'm coming from the service. I want to help you on the spare parts management of batteries. I'm specialized in this. Yeah, but then you have to know what are the new technologies we are applying in China. And we are in the forefront. Then you see we have a lot of development in this area in the United States as well. So and when we talk now in our TikTok markets and so on, it's the layer of the data is going on there. It's the same logic. You have to know the full life cycle of TikTok. Who is the sponsor? What is the Black Friday impact on TikTok? Where's Apple making the money? Are they still in? Oh, perfect. Bingo. So I talk to them. Why? Because Apple makes whatever, 30% of the sales in the Black Friday in China or 50%. That's one shot with a WeChat application. So you need to know this is a full cycle, but then you have to understand there are still a lot of normal great relationships with United States companies in China and vice versa. They are still active because they're not necessarily in the full scope of batteries or in the full scope of 5G networks, but they have a trusted track record where they get recognized and you can bring your competence in. So that is possible. It's not necessary this black-white. So you need the cultural part, you need the life cycle part, and you need the relationship part that people know you and you go and then you build your business. You can do still business if you do this 3 or 4 dimensions, and that's what we talk more later on this digital markets, because there we have a complete different situation. We have a lot of entrepreneurs and we have mega platforms. At the same time, we have, as activity groups, we have a new generation. They're building connections so fast. You can see every day, they know exactly how to connect from the Twitch or whatever areas. They go there, then they know the people from the drone business, and then they build a business where they go to China and say, I know now how I can help you in the drone business in the future. I went through these applications, I did this. And if you do a contract and have a qualified methodology with all the proven tools and the algorithm for that, then you can even go there and work there. If you're a small entrepreneur, you can make a deal with China in this case. So I think we go now to the next point. What was actually about the general set, this, that's actually the point I wanted to talk. But I had, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was checking what is Twitch, and so I had an account, and then I saw how they were playing around, and then suddenly, I saw that they're giving money to the players, and without getting something back. And I said, what's this? This is really interesting. So he goes there, he sees how they're fighting and everything. And he's only a spectator, observing this game, is fascinated. And then he sends money to this player, so this gamer there, and without getting anything in the back. And then you see a little bit what that means from the mindset. That those days I thought, wow, this is interesting. They're fascinated by the spirit, the power, the experience, and the commitment in this community. And I want to be part of that community. I want to be part of that. I want to be like him. He's a hero for me. This is a little bit what we see in those intense communities like the drone competition. It's impossible. I come from the drone business because we have 5 years ago, we started to build as well a huge big drone. So I bought a professional one, a big one. So we are now rolling out this now. It's not easy, but it's working. But then we went as well observing this gamer drone competitions. And this is when we talked about geopolitical competence, what you see there, they are really poisoned to win and committed with their life, what they do, 20 hours, this drone captains, and this is amazing. The technology they are applied there is highest technology. We talked about geopolitical. Sorry. Hello. Yeah.
I think you can.
Yes. Hello.
No, continue, Jürgen.
Yeah, I'm at that page about the general set, and then I came with it. I want to make clear. I don't know how many we have. We have a small population today, but nevertheless, we will talk about that at AMP because we need to understand, and that was the question of the profile we had before. What is the competence you need to have today to build your own community? With the commitment, 100%, this is your life mission. You are almost absolutely committed to that life mission. Those players, gamers, they have only that. That's what we have in this technology areas, in these markets, in game market and TikTok. There is a commitment. I want to be the millionaire. I want to be the best simulator guy for chats or for some systems, tech systems. Then you have to have really this very radical, ultimative desire to be the best, and that means in these cases they're really working and training in this competition 10, 15 hours. And that is very interesting when I see now the industry, I see the profile in industries, and I see the substitution of supply chain or the assembly line specialists, the robots. And then I see this unconditioned will to win, to be the best in the drone competition. That is something, if you can canalize this energy, capture that energy and say, you know what, I want to have you later on, or friends of your community in my team to generate a new vehicle or a new machine or recycling mechanism to clean the ocean or whatever. But I need this commitment that you stay there in this location where we need you for, even if it's dark, you have to observe it, whatever. So you stay there 15 hours every day, you can't sleep. I think there comes a point where if you substitute, or if you're better than the technology which runs 24 hours, there has to be at least from you a commitment that you would love to be recognized as the best player in this. And we have this as well. We see it when the gamers play roulette and all this stuff. The newer generation, suddenly they win. They run a lot of games, but they're so committed. They're actually, they're in a self-run because they want to be the best, and they've asked themselves to give everything what they have in energy. And that's sometimes really at the cross-border behavior. But that's what we see. If you mix that with consciousness and say, okay, I will be extreme. I do my Iron Man thing. We had now the competition there. You have your discipline, you do that, but then normally they're pausing. Those players, they are non-stop doing this. So this high-tech companies or high-tech game markets, very intense markets, they're massively sponsored from marketing and from public relation companies, a lot of money in, because they attract. There is some market where this new generation can compete with their conditions in communities. That's why they live to the fullest the general set values. We want to have community, we want to be tech, and we want to compete, and we love it. It's interesting because if we see the transformation on the industry side, we will have as well more and more high level. If you see the engineers today in the gigafactory for the battery production, they're working very hard, and you don't need to be the best engineer with your diploma, but you need to have the commitment and your logic and compromising yourself. I will do that. And we saw that with all the plans Elon Musk does, the discipline, the radicality of do your job. If it would be your family, you die for that. This is what we see more and more because the value chain, they are digital. They're the real-time running algorithm. Sometimes if you're a manager at Amazon or what, you have your ROPs or your bots giving you your information, and then an algorithm who controls the email comes in the morning, 500 or 2000 or whatever. So we have a competition coming up more and more. You need to become very focused and a high performer, competition performer. If you want to go in industries, they're still there. You know, we saw these high-tech industries. If you work with them, you have the tact, and the power comes from the digitalization and the systems, the data lakes, they get confirmed, the APIs get managed. So everyone knows it's not like the old days, 5 years, 10 years ago with ERP systems where you have at night you process. No, it's real time. So if it's at night, you have to know what's happening at night. You have your system and you get tracked on that. So we see a parallels here from the Generation Z when they are so committed that this is a Formula One. This is the training they later on they can apply when they go in a work stream and in a lab, and the lab has a complete different task, and they will be committed and they will do the same. So in this high tech area, there are still other professions. If you are a lawyer, also you have different procedures, but you have as well you have to be fast because the algorithm having the last cases segmented in the keywords and the correlations of levels of cases of people, they matched some laws or not. This is all available. That will be, all the systems will be fed with that. So if you work there, you have to be very fast and deal with the speed, because the technology will ask you. So if you would have had the 15 years ago the first iPhone, or 20 years ago almost, it took a time, but you need to adapt yourself to the speed of the technologies. Yeah, that's what, when we go now further in the discussion, I did here only some separation that is so important for all projects we do now. What is the difference between Alpha and Generation Z also? Yeah, definitely Alpha, they're really the more genuine digital generations. They really started from first months with the iPad working on that stuff, and all the surfaces or camera systems, and they're much more digital because they had really no analog interface growing up. The Generation Z is the first solid digital community. They had their WhatsApp, they have communities, they build very strong, the language they used. They are really the first semi-digital generation we have, and that's our population, our students coming in from that segment. And but the main impact, the ultimative impact will come from alphas, because their neocortex system and limbic system is really digitally pre-configured from their systems and applications and software and hardware they used. because they had this as a first entry point. The Generation Z is still, there is still a little bit analog procedure because they had analog communication and more support, human support interaction, where the Z, they jump often very strong in the direct equipment world. And that's why they're more advanced. The ultimate stadium would be really, you have only robots, but there we're not becoming there close to this, but the alphas are more advanced on that, definitely. We see it as well if we look forward, because our projection here, Latin America 2040, we will have Generation Z around 150 million. That is a fantastic number, because this is a huge number for a market where you can test, where you can run products, so you can then compare immediately. Okay, if I check all the countries, they're offering systems, and then say, wait a moment, I can have a test market, Latin America, Spanish speaking. Brazil, exception, would be good to integrate Brazil, the 220 million. So it's good to get them in, but they're not all playing and Generation Z, but definitely this is a big market. If you take Latin America and Middle America, it's a huge market. If you have their products and you work there, it's fantastic, because you can test and you have reference cases with the Generation Z. Yeah, I did hear something to discuss with you. Someone of you, how many of our folks today participating in our lecture, someone is from the Generation Z or less? Julio, how is this here?
Maybe if anyone is a Gen Z can raise a hand.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. What I want to say here is from the profiling, we go back to the question what I have to study and what I should focus on. The positioning wherever you are, if you're a boomer, if you're silent, doesn't matter. It's a fantastic thing today. You can have coming from the silent organization, the generation, or from the boomers. If you're motivated to do a case, you take the technology, you can develop the stuff. It's everything available. I think it's very beautiful. It's because the technology is know-how, GDP, you can get it, but then it's a question: do you have this dream, this hurting mass mission? You want to get there, and somehow but then make it reality. Start the next day, and you will attract energy. So people will feel, wow, she moved now. She wants to focus only on battery recycling. Wow, she's fascinated because she had the past some ideas from recycling, whatever. Then you will be the champion, but with the same radicality like the gamers. It has to be the same radicality. You can't do it with a mentality of 8 hours and then I have it. If you build your own company, you need to do that. If you're a specialist, you're special, then you have to check do interviews with the industry and what do you need, and then you build your ecosystem, and then you need someone who's very, very, very good in systems. So you can't do anything new if you're not really a high-level cultural or strategist and have references cases or headhunter or on the people side, a doctor, then you have this reference. But if you're close to productive life cycle, maybe it's real estate or medicine products or pharma industry, food industry, whatever, you need to be very focused. But you can do it as a boomer easily. Depends to what extent you want really radically invent yourself. And that is what we have to check with our students. You can't imagine, I never would have thought that the students we get always here in Latin America, from Peru, Mexico, Colombia, wherever, they're very, very good. And they come, sometimes they had not the means from their parents to study or to have a regular education, from base education, their 12 years and so on. But it's amazing if you give if they have normal circumstances, they can sleep and they have a normal routine with the family. And they're really so strong, young people today, because they have some mobile connections. They're digital, and they're very strong. And you get, if you put them together, they can reach, even if they're not study, for sure. If you do engineering, you have to do hardcore engineering. But if you have something where you can do on the sales side or more on the people business, marketing, digital marketing, it's amazing. It's amazing. So this is important for our general set to understand what they're doing when they are with us and studying, to what extent they are working on this radical mission they want to achieve in their life. Because the geopolitical circumstances, this value chains, they are all very strategic, and only if you have a sharp focus and you want to be the best in your segment, the best really, then you have a chance wherever. You can go to Europe if you're specialized and you have reference cases, then you can do it. And that's what we want to prove, actually. We want to do exactly that exercise with our students when we do the tech skills and see to what extent they are capable to advance in different technologies, not only what we have on their technologies, an ERP system or in a front office application for sales guys, or a controlling system for the magnetism radiation of a battery. It depends but what counts is there is a commitment, and there is the almost compared to the computers, a digital push to make really your numbers and your assessment of your controlling really scrutinized, really perfect, because the bot is at your side and will do the same. So when I see a lot of clients right now, they have still their people, but in parallel they work on a complete digitalization with GDPs and bots, and they will train the systems even in the human service area, and then will be very shortly, you will have here substitution as well on that side. So what you do, you have to be a specialist with a true human interface and go deep and qualify yourself. And that's the technical skill of the general set we have to prove in our case with the digital market, with the game market, and the TikTok, with the cases we do. Yeah, trauma proven. Yeah, that's very important. This qualification. We had COVID. It's very interesting to know to what extent the general set candidates, when they do these courses with us, are they resilient to catastrophes we had, or the COVID, how they went through this trauma thing, and with their experience when they had a job and suddenly there was no job anymore because there was a system change. And then this is something we have still to see, to what extent this generation is indifferent. They have no issue on that. They didn't suffer, or they suffered because they had to do their final lecture or their exam in the high school and so on, and maybe they couldn't do it because it was exactly when COVID went out. So this is something interesting, because that is a proof to what extent you can do impossible missions, and you are resistant, trauma resistant, and don't get depression on stuff like that, because your brain is non-stop playing you different judgments or stuff like that. The environmental and these other dimensions, environmental, yeah, important. We will have anything we will do, if it's geopolitical, it has to be to do with the environmental life cycle. So we have to understand that. There has to be always a component on impact, on progress of the society, the change adaptability, the digital economics for sure, and the social advocacy. Yeah, this is as well very important, what we mentioned as well, from the social cause, inclusion, but as well understanding what happens when you're in another country, what they're doing in this. So you need to understand to project what they're doing in the environment, what they're doing in the inclusion, what they're doing in the waste when you come up with your proposal. Yeah, and these are the future technologies. And I wanted to discuss this today, but the idea is for this series, we have series 1, that is today, and the series 2. And like I mentioned in the beginning, my idea is to do really concrete cases with you, and we send to you tomorrow or a day after sum up what we did and what we will do, because then you have the opportunity to simulate for an idea in technology. It could be one of those technologies. It could be the TikTok power, because we will go in depth on the TikTok political strategies, on the impact, and on the leverage TikTok can have if you do it, if you transform it in a really innovative tool. The same with the gaming market, and for sure the ecological activist or the transformation change agenda, where you will have to make impact happen, where, with whom. It's a huge market, it's a huge opportunity, and we will then discuss for the generator set, what is the point, geopolitical markets, and how you can do really differentiation with your knowledge in the ecological area and the life cycle, impact analysis, stakeholder management, what is very crucial component, blended finance, all that stuff. This market is a huge market. It will still grow, combined with the learnings we get out of TikTok and the game, what I talked much more today. Then you will combine this with your mission and learn, and then you can break through the geopolitical markets in certain segments. But at least you will be aligned. Where are the main centers of innovations across this geopolitical life cycle? Maybe the 5G, maybe the batteries. These are life cycles, and they're not closed. There are always new things to make the life cycle better with systems, controlling system, magnetism, and so on. So many things. And if we combine that with your learnings when you were playing in the TikTok, or your attitude when you had the games, and your experience and the limits, and the governance system, and the controlling system and the tracking system, the backup systems, the AI systems. If you know that, if you leverage that, then you have a beautiful leverage for your career. And that's what is my final word here. If we leverage what they know already from their generation affinity and affiliation, then it's awesome how we can turn it around in the geopolitical discussion. Because there are a lot of aspects we want to elaborate in the series 2 next week. And that's why we sent you this questionnaire. And then you can think about what you would like to discuss. You can create your project. And then we come back to you and say, it's not possible full, but we would like to emphasize that point. We give you a slot, 10 minutes, 15, there's interaction, that you can really get something out of understanding what is awareness, what is geopolitical awareness, how I understand now that I have to go really the extra mile to understand the cultural, the stakeholders, the transformation of the long life cycle of a country, of the Asian area, Asian market. You have to understand this, because these life cycles are the full ones. They don't stop. They're not anymore in a country. They are global. So, and that when you have this understanding and you have your references from your job or from your studies during university or before or with us, AMP, and say, I want to do that, then we check with you, what do you have on references on this market? And we give some insights, what we can leverage from the gaming market and what we can leverage from the TikTok market and what we can leverage in general from the activities and the startups we know in this area, how they redesign the startup competences of the general set, and then we combine that with your approach within the problems or the projects you would like to start, or you maybe face in the future where you work now, or you will study as a general set with us and think, okay, what should I study? Where should I study? How I can finance it? You can finance this if you have a good proposal and you talk then with companies about that. Then they finance this too, because you have maybe some good reference already on the gaming side or on the digital side, programming, whatever. So it has to be together, because the general set has already some advances in the profiling, like we saw. And if you combine this with your passion to do something, I think I see really a great future for this. If you have this motivation and this absolutism, this absolute commitment of high performance. If you don't have that, you will compete with computers that can do it maybe. But that's not the point. You have to have the creativity, what we see in TikTok, the creativity, personality, all that, that has to happen. And you can't study that. So that's why we have to go deep. Next week we go only 1 hour only in this, and then we go in the cases. So it will be 2 hours next week. Yeah, that's why from my side, I think
Jürgen,
Yeah.
I have a question here from the audience. Some people is asking if you know what is the difference between Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I know that Gen Alpha is like a really young generation, so I think there is not much information about this generation, but I don't know if you know any differences.
I have a detailed description of that. The main big difference is that there was no interface, no human interface with the alphas. They as baby, they have the iPod in front of them and the iPad, and then they work on that. So their system there, the main difference is their synapse systems, the neurological system in the neocortex, frontex, even the limbic system. They save things. They make a different report on memories. The referrals they have, it's much more digital, their brain, and much faster and connected on digital information processing, like we have is in the tools they used. So that's really if you go from Gen Z to Generation Alpha, it's a fundamental change, because the structure of the brain is the hardware is changed from the beginning, because they have controlling systems, they work with digital systems, alarm systems, no pampering too much with caring. Sometimes they really, hey, take this application, do it, and there's no interface. It's only digital. So it's really the biggest difference we have here is they are used to have no human interfaces, and that's radical, because there was not the money at home. They have been working from the parents, and then they came from the kindergarten. Maybe they had as well a lot of tools, but they had a lot of influences. And no, take this, and you have your hours, and there's a new iPhone you can do. Oh, you have everything is digital. They're not. We will have it in more degrees, much more radical in the next 20, 30 years, definitely. But they had already a significant chunk of interactions on keeping them really quiet and put them in front of the tools, and that changed a lot, because you communicate with the dog, with the children, everything, the programming of the software. That's the main difference here.
I don't know. I think Adriana have another question. I don't know, Adriana. Do you have the question?
Okay, thank you. Jürgen, in Argentina, we are very happy with a Formula One driver who is Generation Z. An example of Generation Z at a global level is a new Formula One driver. He's 21 years old. and is Argentina. Nicolás Colapinto, it is your name.
I love that example. I love it. It's perfect what you say. It's exactly, if they have the computer interface with the Formula One, they're at home.
Yes.
It's their skin. It's like it's part of them. And that's why for them, it's like they can train 20 hours. They have energy, so much energy, because that's where they're trained. Their brain was always gratified and incentivized with the conditions. He gets better chips, better software upgrades. And if you see the pilot today, they're in a computer, these guys. It's unbelievable. And that's why they feel happy when they have the high, and that's the combination of this gaming and this high performance and this natural flow, how they deal with technology. We see it as well in the actual Formula One overall with Van Stappen or the guy from Holland. Also, they are really committed with that. And the old generations, they can't cope anymore. They don't have this one-to-one digital contact. It's a good example. For him, it's perfect. They love it because they're actually in a digital space vehicle, and it could be even faster because they're trained like that. Their brain is a different one. So he's popular now.
Yes, very popular. Everyone is amazing.
It's fantastic to see.
Yes, thank you.
But you see these connections. The further we go in the digital transformation as humans, the further we are happy to have digital vehicles to work with them.
Yes.
We get happy. You see it when we work with GDP. We talk certainly, hey, GDP, thank you so much. You helped me so much. You talk as it would be your brother. So we get, why? Because that's very interesting. The digital systematics and logic gives you always a gratification, a good. You get always something back. There is something, there's a response. Do you need something? From the social side, that's not always the case in the social environment. Sometimes you have a brand and then it didn't call back and whatever. But there, you say, hey, you didn't give me an answer. Oh, sorry, I forgot it. Yeah, here is it. I sent it to you. Did you get it? That's a computer. The computer doesn't miss any deadline. And if he would miss it, the algorithm is not working. So they are really, really consistent. And they get a partner they can trust because they get all the responses. And the response is within this logic structure. And the logic structure is built as a baby already. That's why they are so different. And that's why we see a lot of outperformers more and more, because their brain is so digital, so strong and so fast, because they get always gratificating. Oh, that's nice. That's so nice. The system gives me a new bonus system and you get more points also. But there's it's only the points, and I get thousands maybe. And then they feel really happy because they're working with a digital yes or no. Yes, no.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Jürgen, I think Marco have a question.
Please, Marco.
I don't know. I think he want to talk or.
Hello, Marco. If there's something I can be of help, are you coming next week?
So, on the features that you are providing, also on the same context of the question, do you see any downside between the generation Z and Alpha? Any disadvantages that you can provide? I know there is right now there is a lot of advantages, but
it depends really. You know what depends? It depends really what type of parents you have. I know Alpha humans or children's, they get as well in parallel a cultural education. They got theater, they go in the nature. But if you have the case, the family has to work very hard, they have late hours, maybe the husband or the mother is working in a taxi driver service with Uber, and they have not the time because they have to work hard. And they give the good system computer to this Alpha generation. You can bet this will be a computer. They will be, and it can be very negative because they get in subsystems and in black markets and so on, because they get always motivated if they go further. It's like a machine. And since they're as a baby, and that's why you have to check if you have alphas, what is the social system there embedded? What is the kindergarten? What was the care, the love they got? Or they had really different situation. No one was there, and they had only this computer and worked out of this computer. They will be really zombie. They will be very focused, and they will be very strong on the digital side. But they might have big problems when they come people problems, and they can't handle them because then they have to be emotion. And the emotions of us, we are sometimes like this. We are not always constant, but the computer they work with, it's very constant. They get canceled out, they get bonus points, or they have, I think depends really on the social system and the education, the family stability. If it's only digital, then you have to check what you can help this personality to get them more social back if you need that, But if you have a algorithm job, analysis of errors, and you have someone who can sharp look and a very good concentration facility, not a deviation of focus, then you have as well a good job, maybe in some security job or whatever. It's not necessary that they're not serving, but there are certain logic jobs, they're really perfect, where normal socialized maybe wouldn't do that because it would be too narrow and too dangerous or too insecure. And they don't have that. They go straight. They have not this emotions. They have to deal with their emotions when they're alone with the computer. When there are no one, when the parents they see only 2 or 3 hours in the morning or whatever, then you have this consequence. And why? Because they have all access to tools. They have the iPhone full or something similar. They have a computer, and then they take these machines as their bodies. If there's no support from an aunt or a grandma or so you have to check where they're coming from. And if it was a poison, toxic environment, or a nice, lovely neighborhood with environment with the parents and the family, great family, yes, that's it. But there will be definitely some changes in the future, definitely.
That's a good input because there are studies that, for instance, they were measuring the impact from the pandemic on the basically those studies were, I think it's here on the States. It shows that the brain development has been impacted. And it's easy to understand because, for instance, if you remember back on the day, we used to have phone numbers, right? Like 10, 15 phone numbers on the memory. But now, if you ask any of us, how many phone numbers, it's barely 1 or 2. And on the chip, fact is also huge.
You know them only because they've been for a long time, these numbers normally then. That's why you know them.
Right. And going also, challenge, for instance, how we're gonna develop the social skills on these new generations.
Yeah, that goes only in them through hybrid teams, mixed teams. So you will, there is no way out. We will have in future mixed teams of 2-3 robots in a team, and then one silent robot, or one other one is maybe protocol writing or whatever. But that's a normal thing because there has to be someone there. You have to transform all information from humans. They have to transform immediately in an algorithm or in a database, intelligence database. So there will be mixed teams where they will learn in cases in different long-term support, psychological, social support. But I'm not sure if this, sometimes it's like those people, they will automatically go more in a technical, more in a digital environment because they get drawn in this, they get pulled in those situations. They can't handle fuzzy situations of humans. They are sometimes good and sometimes nice and happy, and that's too much for them. The brain has not synapse systems and millions of cells developed in dealing with the vague answers of a human being. I don't know how it doesn't exist. And since we have billions of synapses and neurons connected non-stop, and he didn't develop them, then I ask you how long you take to redevelop them on a broader scale if it's really nothing was happened. So that's not easy. So you can make some advances, but you have to do a lot of investments, to replay and simulate those situations. I think if someone is really without support on a computer thing, he will be always a little bit with this drive, and you can't entirely bring him back, except you would have a community, normal people life, family life. We go into cinema, and there's not, but then you have to have a very nice integrated family life without too much response on algorithm or planning schedules, and the people come and don't talk a lot. There has to be social talk. There has to be reflection about the feelings of a person, of a perception, of their emotions, of their pain, why they are good now, and how you understand there, put yourself in that point. We will have computers. We have them already. The first generation in Japan, when they're at the hotel, and there comes someone who is really stressed from the airport, and it has really a little zone of kindness, and is really has to sleep and everything, and then they realize on the frequency of the sound of the voice that this already, the stress system is crazy, and then they respond to that. They give, then they ask if he wants to have a water, if someone should give him some time, and we come back. And so there is a capability on robots already in the surface area and the basic. They're really we see it as well, the treatment of older people in Japan when they get services from robots, and that they're really happy because they can sing old songs. They remember the songs they have sung in the old part of their childhood, and so there is a lot that can be. I think maybe. I think in the future you will have very smart systems to simulate, emulate this missing social piece, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure about that. Yes, but there will be already, because if the generation Alpha goes ahead, the olders, the boomers, forget they're old. They don't participate. They will retire, and they're retired. And the boomers and so on, and the X, you will see in 50 years from now, that's not discussion anymore, because you have programs and you get in a connection with the computer, and you can even do an update on your hypnotic system and on your reference system, on your gratification system. You can do that. I believe in this. I'm certified hypnotherapist, and you can do a lot with the brain if you responsible consciously. You can do that. Yes, if you train consciously and carefully and repeatedly, then you can build new iterations in your brain, and they change. Yes, that you can do that. Yeah, but I think I would love to have you next week, because we go there and exactly in this testing with the little bit examples we checked. When someone comes with a background in hardcore playing gamer, wouldn't be a good candidate for to fly a bird for and be in the traffic system for an air company, and company and go into tourism and because he's always a simulator. So there will be a lot of new recruiting systems for those people. I'm so convinced that's the easiest case you can do. And like maybe we all witnessed with GDP, we get so familiar somehow with all those systems that we are happy, because you can trust. If you ask them, you get something back what you want. So it's really impressive. But you have always to know it's a machine, and it's someone who works with a language system. So if you ask him for what you would do if it would be your friend, he can't. There comes a bad answer, because they can't feel, they can't judge moral things, they can't look in your feelings, in your perceptions, and that's why it's dangerous. We have always to know it's a language system, GDP, so it's a combination of billions of responses of similar questions, contexts. So the algorithm does nothing else than to exercise billions of checks. What in this context you ask for someone with that, he gets maybe 1 million cases similar and gives you an answer, and this answer is really beautiful because similar people did in similar contexts the same thing, and it went well because the story is assessed in this. But it's language. It's not feeling and emotions and stuff like that. That's a difference. But that's the next generation of GDP. It will be as well different logic, but they're working on that. But it takes a while, because then you have to emulate synapse connections, and that billions of connections in our brain, to understand what type of brain, what type of benefits codification system was there, when is he happy. But you can, to a certain degree, do proxies of certain profiles of humans, and maybe 60-70% you will be right. And you will do it not on language systems, you will do it really on simulations of true synapse correlations and clusters in the brain and in the limbic system and in the unconscious and the conscious system. And then you have a lot of inputs, and then you get closer, but it takes a while. So thank you so much for your time. Come back. I think it will be good next week. Have a nice evening still. Good night.
Yes, I don't know, Jürgen, that's all for today. Is that all for today?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would say what we need next week, we get more Gen Z people in.
Yeah.
And then we get into cases, because we need now the feedback. We will do the questionnaires. We will send them to our students as well, that we get feedback. We need this. I'm not this generation, and we need their voices. That's very important for this next step. That's why I was dosing a little bit down the thing, a little bit running down, because I think we need the cases, we need the inputs, and that have a critical mass. So it's worth. We do our best for the next week, and that we have from our students joining us and from our group, and then it goes. Yes.
So the next session is on November 20, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
wait a moment. It's November. Which one? It's not next week.
Can you confirm me this, please?
You're right.
Oh, November
29th. So it's not bad, because I would, if you've been together with us, have some questions, send this to us now, or in the chat to your address, because I carefully will think about that and come back on your issues, because in this discussion we do here, it's nothing else, and at least this, we build communities. We have to build communities to understand why is the world a little bit more complex, but the other side is the human potential on creativity is immense. It's infinite, and that is still the beauty we have every day. It's beautiful. We have it. We can every day start again and study and doing an instrument, a keyboard. We can do it. We can do it every day with 70, 80, 90. If you're there, we can do it, and that's a beauty. So we need this. If you have questions, send me that. If you have a mission you would like to do, I take care confidentially. I did more than 15 or 20 years headhunting worldwide with CEOs. So I did a lot of this the human resource area. So, and the confidentiality is key. But nevertheless, mark this 29th, because there we will have a lot of insights from our students on this, on their profiling, and as well on the geopolitical positioning. Yeah. So thank you for yeah.
Yes, and I just shared in the
What?
group chat, in the Zoom chat, the link for the survey that we have for this session.
Yes.
With that, you will have your certificate of participation. And another announcement is that we are hosting another course in Aprende Prospera. So this is coming.
That's excellent. Yeah.
This is starting on 29th of November. For everyone interested, this course will be available. I don't know if Luz is there, so maybe Luz can say something about this or this course, or. But you can find information. I will share with you this link so people can check the
That's
information
very
of the
nice.
course.
That's an excellent course. Excellent.
And yeah, let me just share this. And
To be honest, you know that.
yes. So I think that's everything for all. We hope to see you next time. I don't know, Luz, do you want us do a final? No, that's okay. Okay, so thank you, everyone. See you in the next session. Thank you, Jürgen.
Yes, thank you guys, and hope you see you again in the next session. It will be really very pragmatic, and real cases will be very funny.